What's crackalackin' Toxic Crew? My name is Toxiquid, and you might have heard me reference a thing called Toximon around the channel here or there, and especially since I quadrupled the amount of people watching my videos, I think a recap of the first 3 episodes in preparation of episode 4 is of order. To make it easier for everyone watching, I'm going to be splitting this video up into 4 sections, being what is Toximon, and then the synopses of the previous 3 episodes. Timestamps are here. Alrighty, so some of you might be wondering what the hell a Toximon is, and that's a fair question. Toximon is Toxiquid's Pokemon rendition, so basically how I would make a Pokemon game. Sure, this isn't a completely original idea, but I am putting my own original spin on things, like revealing Pokemon as they go, sharing this story in episodes, etc, etc. What you need to know starting out is that this game's region is based on the southern part of Africa, comprising of Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, Angola, Malawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, and Madagascar. Obviously, not all the countries represented will have multiple towns based on it, some will be represented by only 1 or 2. This fictional Southern Africa region is what I've been referring to as the Hellish region. Keep in mind that I made everything for Toximon back in 2015 and started adapting into videos mid-2018, so I wanted to make it a somewhat standard Pokemon adventure with a twist. Hell, I made stuff back in 2015 that Pokemon themselves did years later, like the Wild Area, the Disc-like Batch Case, and the renaming of gym stuff. In Alola, it was the Island Challenge and Trials. In Hellish, however, it's called the Rites of Passages. As for the Wild Area, that's basically what almost every single route in this region is. In Hellish, they're called Wildland routes and have multiple branching paths that go into sub-areas like caves, lakes, etc. Each route is unique and diverse with a wide amount of Pokemon. There are regular routes, however, but they are few and far between. So without further ado, let's jump into the synopses, shall we? Okie dokie, this one will be pretty damn short because we basically covered most of what this episode is in the last section. So to make things easier on you, I'm going to be going over the stars of the show for this episode, the stars of the region, the grass type nature, the fire type Caflame, and the water type Rainute. Honestly, that's all you really need to know because this video just focuses on them, their inspiration, the process of me making them, abilities, some of their move pool, etc, etc. And honestly, if you just want to know more, head over there. The next 2 episodes, however, are where it starts to get way more interesting. Toximon episode 2 is where everything kicks off. For starters, a new art style that represented my more sketchy art style at the time was presented, but it had a more important purpose that reflected your goal for your avatar. This starts out in the starting town of Viema Village in the top right part of the map. You might be asking why the map's not filling at all, and that brings you to your main objective. You are a cartographer and explorer, basically surveying the region and making a cohesive map alongside a categorical index and a list of all the Pokemon in the region. You get started by meeting the region's professor, Professor Cassett, and her partner, Ricky. And Ricky's the monkey. You talk to Cassett and convince her to give you her first Pokemon, and as she is trying to fill out the Pokeballs, Ricky steals one of them, runs off, and gets cornered by a pack of Hyena and Lafiena, basically this game's regional dog or roan like Lillipup or Sentry. Ricky, still with the ball, throws it to you, effectively making your starter choice, and you fight him off. After you get Ricky back, you report to Cassett and she lays out your mission, and you get on your way. In the first route you can find Pokemon like Hyena, Fletchling, Durtrot, Smalarv, etc. Then you make your way to Kura Village where the first rite of passage is located. I did neglect to mention one thing however, and the rites of passages are intended to be a little bit more difficult in nature, as once you enter, you can't leave. The only way to get out of the passage grounds is to beat it or be beaten. Don't worry, there is a Nurse Joy in there, but she does have limited uses, like in this first rite of passage back in Kura Town where she have 2 permitted uses per attempt. Speaking of the passage, all that really matters is that Akita, the passage chieftain, wants you to clean yourself a path to get to him. Simple enough, bing bang boom, got the goods. The goods in this case are the Seismic Jewel, the substitute for badges, and a signature. This will come in handy later. You leave and bump into this guy who learned his name Jazz, and the standard fare happens. You win and he loses. You progress into the next Wildlands route, finding Pokemon like Geodude, Fletchling, Drillbur, Smalarv, Durtrot, Adum, and Hyena. The next town is called Domu City, where you meet up with Jazz, Cassett, and the next passage chieftain, Kamuzu. Off over yonder is a wacky lad trying to get a younger lad to come with him so he can be put to use, and that's where the 4 of you step in and kick his ass. And that's the end of episode 2. Also, before we move on to the next episode, let's just do a quick run through of the Pokemon that you were introduced to this episode. Rapid fire, go. There's Pyrex, Aquame, Bull, Baby Durtra, Hyena, Laviana, Nectaroost, Autumn. Then there's this thing we call Rick. He evolves into Vertera. That's the end, baby. Toximon Episode 3, A Catalyst Towards Change, is basically the meat of the story and of this video. It picks up right where we left off back in Domu City, where after that whole deal, Cassid, Kamuzu, and Jazz takes their leave, but not before Ricky handing you a tattered note. Don't worry about it right now. You traverse through Wildlands Route 3, where you can find Pokemon like Wimpod, Salandit, Adum, Bullbaby, and Nakata. Afterwards, you can find your way to Chitsamba City, home of Kamuzu and his sister, Esh. She is basically the zookeeper of the nature preserve that they both run. Coincidentally, that nature preserve is the passage grounds for Kamuzu's grass-type trial. Long and short, it's basically that one Mario Party minigame. Yeah, that one. Boxing the Pokemon with the rope, go to the next room, and then progress your way to Kamuzu, beat him up and get the growth jewel and his signature. As soon as both of you exit, you look for Esh and find that she's gone, but a hat belonging to one of those weirders that you saw in Domu City still remains. Kamuzu freaks out and you let him be for right now. Right after you bump into Jazz recollecting on the events that just transpired that can only be described as a kidnapping. You press onwards to the regular routes in Route 5, where you can find Timber, Palpitoad, Apom, Wimpod, Gazap, Fethrush, Cinnamoroll, and Celestork. Technically this route has two ways it can go, so we'll focus on the story part as we did in the video. You find a factory called the Zobisoka Juncture and is a stronghold for a group called Team Catalyst, where they are holding kidnapped victims. Enter the building and bam, is the Catalyst Juncture. Hey look, there's two rooms, the brainwashing room and the office. Go to the office and find an oddly designed man named William alongside his assistant, Austin. Hey, doesn't she look vaguely familiar? Kick her ass and she cowers in fear, and that's when William kicks you out using a roided up gator named Knippadile. Pop goes the weasel. You get healed by Jazz in Route 5, and he challenges you to a battle, gaming his whole career and zip on over to Gandy's Town. Hey look, a stranger looking at you from afar. This shouldn't be important, right? Oh shit, you also found me in 10, would you look at that? He's fucking blocks for fingers, look at that, what a fucking nerd. Alright, here's what you're gonna do. Go to church, find a lady named Caitlin, give her a map, she makes X's, she challenges a rite of passage, bear hug the bid bad beware, you get the helper jewel alongside her signature, profit. Hey look, you're in the next Wildlands out. Good job. You can find Pencoil, Beware, Lelotus, Ninjask, Salazzle, Antolite, etc, etc. Here you make it to the Yari Cape, and as soon as you get there, a Catalyst Grunt knocks you the hell out and drags you to the brainwashing room and challenges you to a rematch. Because of the battle, the sheer amount of rage and debris or whatever cop-out answer you can think of, her visor cracks, revealing a familiar face. She's all like, fuck that noise, hits a button, and would you look at that, everyone who has ever been kidnapped by them has been activated as grunts. Zip on out of there and go back to the cave and find Fletcher Jazz, where he wants to open up, and as he finds solace through Pokemon battles, and apparently losing him is fine too, afterwards he takes you to a cafe and spills the beans about what the hell is happening. So TLDR, William and this chick Chazzy were married and had a kid named Jazz and lived happily until this one green lemur named Indriane came along. Indriane showed him that Willie could have power, so he pursued that as much as he can, driving both of them away. Chazzy is now the water-type Chazzy chieftain, and William is now the head of Team Catalyst. Boy oh boy, family dynamics, aren't they fun? Now go back to the aquarium because that's where Chazzy is, and do the rite of passage. After some spatial awareness puzzles, soak up all the water types, get the title jewel in their signature, and bye-bye a go-go. Hey, you gotta go back to the previous route where you can find 3 new fellows. Oh, there they go. Alright, let's slow down a little. We've been going a mile a minute. You go back to Gandy's to find Caitlin sad that the citizens have left with creepy glows in their eyes. For some reason, she wants you to see her friend Tone Yari, abbreviated to Tone, on the left side of Hellish. Conveniently, there's a direct route to that place that you need to go in Wildlands Route 7. Here you can find Parasect, Vibrava, Mandibuzz, Aggravate, Ardvenom, Hellifrost, Leaflare, etc. Oh shit, this town is built on a mountain. This is Moaya City, and uh-oh, it's infested with bozos who are attacking people, and with a wacky-ass lady trying to stop it with her Shedinja. Beat up their low-level mons, and after the skirmish, this lady, who is revealed to be Tone herself, tells you to climb the peak of Moaya Mountain. This is a city, and there are stairs. After the stairs, you shimmy inside a cave and attempt a rite of passage. Before battle, she explains a bit about Indriane, but it's all info that you know. Beat her up, Joker. You get the bone jewel, her signature, and the option between 2 fossils, either the tooth fossil or the scale fossil. Choose one and leave. Afterwards, you have a few options, but literally none of them matters to this episode except for the path that you gotta go to progress the story. The next town only has one path to get to it from where you are now, and you gotta take the mountainous Route 8 to get there, encountering such treasures as Mandibuzz, Shuppet, Ardvenom, Burleaf, Ryan, etc. The next town you get to is called Magosa City and is the most technologically advanced town in all of Hellish. Here you can restore the fossils, having the tooth fossil become Rasucho and the scale fossil becoming Cerebus. Hey look, this town is infested with catalyst grunts, but the problem is they aren't doing anything bad. In fact, they are just listening to an unknown voice in this sort of press conference. William and Austin is there, but they aren't the ones leading the conference. Instead, it's a formerly friendly familiar face. Hey Cassid, what's crack-a-lackin'? And that's the end of episode 3. It's been a hot minute since I released anything Toximon related since then, and with the upcoming Toximon episode 4, I wanted to fill in the new guys and girls who had just joined us. In terms of new Pokemon introduced in this episode, next verse same as the first. There's Rhyme, Cineroll, Trudlin, Titolo, Folimber, Masquerade, Pancoil, Megalope, Glacial, Huttall, Lil Lotus Leafler, Hydrosnail, Puddalo, Spikeal, Wusserchoke, Burleaf, Gazap, Hurricane, Slushapod, Frosticock, Vethrosh, Aardvenom, Ifernox, Termity, Termite, Elefrost, Sutramo, Cerebus, Celiswork, Antilike, and Nipodal, Earthrush, Eckervate, Liquizard, Mashreek, Indria is the last one. That's the end, a bunch of freaks. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see Toximon in full completion up to this point, go nuts. And this was just the bare bones outline of it all. Basically, no descriptive detail given. The next video will be Toximon episode 4, so I hope you guys will watch it. Thank you so much to the patrons for supporting me, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all then. Keep on crack-a-lackin'.